Hi there, everyone. My name is Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading Corporation. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of The Secret War on Cash. I have again joining me Chris Agelastos, our Senior Account Executive from Swiss America. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to hear. Really good to hear. Thanks for being on. And let's get into it here. Um, I guess, Chris, over the years, I've talked to you about a lot of stuff in the 25 plus years I've known you. Not all of it professional, actually, probably most of it not, which is why I enjoy talking to you so much. Um, I'd actually like that to be a reminder to everyone of tuning into this and every one of our podcasts. We need to be vigilant when it comes to being prepared, staying on top of things, and all the other serious stuff. But never forget to spend every moment you can enjoying every blessing you have in your life, no matter where you're at or what you're dealing with. Try to take a step back and you'll find those blessings in your life. Chris, this is not one of my favorite things to talk about. That part was, but this part is. And that's why I say let's focus on blessings, because the part I don't really like to talk about, this next part, as much as I don't want to, it's real. And the article we're showing now is talking about how life in America has never been more unaffordable as it is right now. Sadly, it's a very true statement. Housing, food, loans, energy, entertainment, all of it. It's a punch below the belt to everyone. Do some feel it more than others? For sure, but it's affecting everyone. Explain to us what's really going on right now with inflation and what that really looks like to the average family out there.
Well, first, I think everybody thinks of inflation as costs climbing because that's what we see in our budget. But I think a lot of people don't realize that's really just the value of our dollar collapsing. And of course, they don't report it like that on TV, but that's really what is happening. All the goods out there are no more valuable than they were a while ago. It's just that our dollar is worth less, and so it takes more of them to purchase things. And we didn't notice this as much, let's say in the early 2000s, because it was a slow progression. And of course, now that things are speeding up and we're seeing it directly in our budgets, we're taking more notice of it. But like you said, housing costs are going through the roof. It's actually never been more, never cost more to purchase a house than it does right now in terms of inflation adjusted dollars. The average house payment is 50% of a person's pre-tax income. So half your money right
Wow.
off the top before the government even takes their cut. And so if you add 20 to 30% to that, now you've got 70 or 80% of your money just going to housing in the government. So people are feeling that.
Wow.
Rents on average over $2,000 a month. So what's happening? Bankruptcies are surging. Homelessness, obviously, I think a lot of our major cities, have seen that, firsthand. And the real sad truth to all of this is that we're sort of at the beginning of the catastrophe. So all these things we're seeing are just warning signs of what more is to come. And they're saying, I hate to be so depressing, but they're
It's a
saying that
depressing topic.
oil, it is, and you got to look. I'm an optimist by nature, but you can't ignore what's going on. And they're saying that oil. Once oil hits 150 a barrel, which it's just under $100 now, we're going to see even more price increases in all of our goods and items that need to be transported. So this is,
Sure.
people are complaining now and feeling the pain, and this is just the beginning.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I agree. I mean, it's not, there's really nothing being done about it. I don't know what they can do about it, to be honest with you, because we planted a lot of bad seed in our garden, it would seem. I guess we put it like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough talk about problems today. Let's talk about solutions. I had sent you earlier an article I saw a few weeks ago that was talking about these very same problems and
Hmm.
how gold has been somewhat of a great equalizer against them. Gold may be a new or somewhat foreign concept to some, but what is amazing about it, that it has been one of the most consistent, in fact, probably the most consistent in terms of track record over any asset class, spanning not days, months, years, or even decades. We're literally talking centuries. It offers portability, the ability to exchange, liquidity, stability, or some have even said it has nutritional value. If you've got it, you're going to be able to eat.
Yep.
Chris, give us a few highlights from this article describing
hmm
some of these benefits, specifically compared to all the nasty stuff that we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people that aren't super familiar, let's say, with gold, just think of it as another commodity. But in fact, while gold is a commodity, it's really more like an international currency, and it's been very stable for, like you said, a very very long time. And the important part to it is that it protects people in a downturn, right? So, we obviously we've been talking about all the problems that we're seeing financially in this country and that people are experiencing. Obviously, that's going to affect the markets. The stock market is a big one, and that's where a lot of people have their money. And
Right.
the advantage here is that by having an appropriate portion of your portfolio in physical gold, that can protect you significantly in those downturns. But what a lot of people also don't realize is that gold tends to rise in growing markets. So it's something that you can have in your portfolio in good times and in bad times and see benefits from it. And I think more importantly, protection in the downturn. But of course, people want to make money in the good times too, and you're not going to miss out on that by having gold in your portfolio. And it historically, like you mentioned, it's performed better than any other asset class in deep recessions, which I think a lot of people realize we're going into. But the key is having it in your portfolio, and they estimate that depending on the specifics of your situation, 10 to 30% is a pretty ideal range, and most people have none. If they do, they have a little bit odds and ends, from a fund or something like that. But the bulk of the people walking around out there are doing so without adequate protection in their portfolio. And when you see a big dip, like many are predicting we should see any time now, it can significantly impact your retirement savings, and it's hard to make those dollars back.
For sure, for sure. And I think one thing that it kind of is important to add in here, Chris, is the fact that when talking gold, gold ETFs are fine, gold mining shares are fine, but that's not the same as having a form of physical metal in your hands. And the reason I bring that up is because what people may or may not be aware of, the distinct advantage to having a piece of physical gold, it's referred to as an unencumbered asset, meaning that its value is based on what is sitting right in front of you. It doesn't rely on somebody else to pay a debt in order for it to give it value, or having a confidence in it in order to give it value. Its value is found in what it actually is, and that is that metal. And the advantage to it, and the reason I'm taking a moment to make that distinction and that clarification, is because one of the true advantages to gold, look, we heard a lot of bad things in the economy, in the financial news, in the markets, etc. And no one knows for sure what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Are there reasons to believe that, yes, we could have some kind of an economic crisis, collapse, or fallout? Well, for sure. I mean, you look at the debt problems, you mentioned inflation, everything going on with BRICS. Here's the thing: gold, as we sit here and talk today, it is actively traded in US dollars. It has a value in US dollars. But without us having to do a thing, it also is supported with its own market that's being traded in euros, in franc, in yen, in pound, in lira. You can go right through every currency literally in the world. And so it's not dollar dependent, it's not euro dependent, it's not yen dependent in order to give it value. Its value is based on what it is, and that's why that physical part of gold is vitally necessary to everyone's portfolio. And this article that is on the screen, if those watching can see or those or they're listening, the title in and of itself says it all. It's more than a defensive asset, gold is. It has unique properties as a portfolio diversifier. It's not the end all, but it is a portfolio diversifier. It is something that everyone's portfolio, to whatever extent their needs are, should be diversified in. Well, Chris, thank you for that. And thank you again for joining us. For those of you tuning in, feel free if you'd like more information on gold or would like to learn more about the market for gold, how you can invest in it either on privately or through maybe even some of your retirement savings, contact our office at 1-800-289-2646 or visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Feel free to comment, and to hear more of these episodes, please subscribe. And lastly, follow us on social media. We'd love to stay in touch with you. Again, this has been Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.